Welcome to the Black Sparrow Media Internet Broadcast Network.
You are listening to Linux in the Ham Shack. LHS is a podcast about Linux, open source, and amateur radio, for everyone. Now here are your hosts, Cheryl, W5MOO, Russ, K5TUX, and Bill, NE4RD.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome. You have tuned in to episode number 587 of Linux in the Ham Shack. And this time around, it's our Weekender edition, the 131st edition of the Weekender. Wow, we've been doing this a while. So it's a good thing. It means we're still going strong. No pod fading yet. And still OGs in the group. All these celebs and whatever who've got new podcasts. Yeah, forget that. We've been around forever and ever. Since way before podcasting was cool. So let's jump into it and get into the Weekender and get into our topic for tonight, which will be randomly selected, and then our hedonism in the second half of the show. But before we start talking about stuff, we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. I'm Russ, K5TUX.
I'm Cheryl, W5MOO.
And I'm Bill, NE4RD.
All right. Well, I don't think there's anything for it except to hit the button here and hope it picks something decent. So here we go.
The button.
It looked like it was just about to slip off onto the next topic, but it did not quite. So this was interesting, and unfortunately it may be a pretty short episode unless we want to talk a little bit about history, but the topic is, how do you record Linux in the Ham Shack? And I'm assuming we're talking about like how we record it, not how other people might record it, because that's the only thing that would really make any kind of sense. Like I said, this is going to be a really, really short topic, unless we want to talk a little bit about the history of how we recorded LHS, because I'm not even sure I remember how we recorded it originally.
The evolution of recording, right?
Didn't you originally start using the, it was video, right?
No, it was
From the
never
very beginning?
video.
It was never video.
No, we never had video.
We did use Skype at one time.
At one time,
no,
we did
I was talking about like with Richard.
No.
You know, in the very beginning.
Video.
Okay.
Originally, like at the very beginning, if my memory serves me correctly, which it may not, I believe we recorded our individual tracks, and then Richard sent me his side, and I Audacity'd the two together. I don't think there was any collaborative recording. It was, we just did our own thing and then put the two files together and did a thing. And then if we had a guest or something like that, they had to record themselves, and you know, I'd have to take that file and include it as well, which was always fun. Remember back in the days when you'd always do that thing where you'd have to like snap or click or something so that you'd have something to reference the recording by. That kind of thing, for sure. Then, yeah, for a while we used Skype, and I think that amounted to having to put all the individual tracks together as well.
Yeah, we're still recording in Audacity locally.
Right. And then after Skype, we decided we didn't want to use Skype anymore for obvious reasons, and then we went to
Mumble?
I was thinking of the client, not the server, but yes. Yeah, we went to Mumble, and ultimately that was the same, right? I mean, because we still had
it created its own files, and we still had to send each file up, because it would occasionally record. Well, you could record multi-tracks in the Mumble client of everybody on the thing, but then you had to deal with network latency and stuff like that. So sometimes the tracks would be corrupted by the network dropping in and out. So then we went to just recording on Mumble, then everybody sent their individual files, and then you still put it all together by hand.
Yeah, and in the Mumble days, in the early Mumble days, I had issues where the tracks, like milliseconds, weren't milliseconds. There were some issues where my audio, as compared to the other audios, would like wander, and so I'd have to like figure out, it would wander like within a second or two, but sometimes it would mean that my audio came in a little bit early and would be on top of something, so I'd have to throw in half a second of silence or whatever. I think ultimately that wandering stopped. It was probably like my machine not able to keep up or something at the time.
I think it was true that like we were recording in different formats, and then we finally figured that out. So everybody would record with the exact same format for the file, and that sort of helped keep the timeline together.
Yeah,
because you could do like an OGG or an MP3 and stuff like that, and yeah, that kind of messed things up when someone would have an MP3 versus an OGG and they were slightly out of sync.
Yeah, which was really annoying to deal with because a lot of times the tracks would be mostly okay, but I'd have to go through every second of every track to make sure things lined up properly because of the time wandering. So after we did, Mumble for quite a while, I think that was probably the longest we ever did any one particular thing. Then when we switched over to Discord, we discovered that there were some bots that allowed us to record straight out of Discord, and that simplified the process to an enormous degree, because now we talk about it when people come in and listen to the live show and they see Alistair as a user in the live stage. So that is a bot that actually just takes all of our audio and records it as individual tracks, and then it either allows me to download them as individual tracks, or it puts them together in an Audacity project and auto levels them and everything. And I just have to pop that into Audacity, put the intro and outro on, make sure I do some stuff in post, just in case there's some things that need to be edited out or whatever.
Well, talk about your post too, your post processing, because I think Tom had a question about that. Okay. So what do you do before you throw the intro and outro on?
Okay, so what happens first is this is kind of the same thing that's happened like all the way through from the very beginning, but of course now it's much faster and easier. So once I have the tracks, whether I have the individual tracks or I have the Audacity tracks from Alistair, I would get them all lined up, get them all sounding right, and then I have a custom profile set for the compressor algorithm inside Audacity. So I will first I'll first get the tracks, where I want them, content where it's supposed to be, remove as many ahs and things like that as I possibly can. Then I will use the magic Audacity plugin called Truncate Silence, which is the best thing that ever happened to people who record audio. So that literally takes care of all of the silence between tracks, regardless of how long it is. I have it set to 0.4 seconds. So any silence that's 0.4 seconds or longer gets truncated to 0.4 seconds. So that takes care of all of the blank audio. So the people who listen to the live show, when I say something and Bill's like, "Oh wait, let me go look that up for you," and we sit here and twiddle our thumbs for a minute and a half, and then he comes back and says, "Oh yeah, well you don't hear that. You hear 0.4 seconds of silence." So once that's done, then I hit the audio tracks with the compressor. Well, first of all, I merge the tracks together. I merge them into a single track. I keep the raw audio in tracks, individual tracks, and then I combine the tracks before I hit them with the truncate silence and the compressor. If you hit them with truncate silence before you mix them, that would be a real problem.
Everybody be talking over each other.
You're right. So I get all the content the way I want to. I merge the tracks together using mix. So it comes out as a single track, run truncated silence on it, so there's no long gaps or anything like that. Hit it with the compressor so all the levels are more or less level. No highs, no lows, no all that good stuff. And then that track that's left from that becomes the Patreon track because it doesn't have an intro and outro. It doesn't have any like incidental music or any, because once upon a time there was music. So, and every once in a while we throw music in too, especially on weekenders if there's, some reason to. So before there's any music and before there's an intro and an outro, that file gets saved off into MP3 format and it becomes the Patreon track. And it gets uploaded to the Patreon. So if you're the Patreon and you download the podcast via that way, you get it without any of the incidental audio. I save it as 64 kilobit or 64 samples, whatever the...
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
64K. That's
64K samples, right?
Yeah.
That's what I save it as because we're just talking here. We don't have to have it at 320K MP3s or anything like that. Then I went through the process of originally I would have to put in the music and the intro talking and the outro talking and blah blah blah. And at some point I smartened up on that and created intro and outro tracks which have all of the ducking and fading and voiceover and all of that like already in them. So all I have to do at that point is prepend the intro track, postpen the outro track, and then get them lined up basically so that when we start talking, it's exactly 58 seconds into the recording and the outro starts the millisecond that Bill stops talking. So
loudmouth.
you always end up. Well, you always end up with the 7.3, right? So
yeah.
So at the very end of the waveform where the end of the 3 ends, that's when the outro starts. So and then at that point, I save the project and I do not mix those down. So those will stay as individual tracks. The intro's a track, the main mix is a track, and the outro's a track. And then I'll export it as an MP3, which is the normal MP3 version. I export it as an OGG, even though we don't actually publish the OGGs anymore. If someone actually wants them in OGG format, you can still get them. I'll let you know where and how and all that. And I save them as FLACs as well. So we have a lossless version. And I think that's always been the case. And there are torrents where you can download the show in those formats. So you can, and they're segmented by year. So there's a 2008 torrent with all the different formats, 2009, so on and so forth. I think those are still listed on the website. If they're not, I'll make sure I update that. I think I'm probably a couple of years behind at this point, but everything's been archived. We are also archived on Archive. So if you go to archive.org, we're one of the archived podcasts. And so all our new episodes show up there. And I guess that means we'll be around forever or until the world explodes or whatever. So, so as far as the audio files themselves, there's all the different formats. I have them in 4 different places. I have them on the machine that I create them on. They're on the site that serves them when you download them. And there's a couple of backups plus the archive. So they're in 5 different places and should never lose them, hopefully. The only thing that's kind of new to the process, and this will of course be the thing that will divide people, is the show icons, the cover slides or whatever you want to call them. With the advent of AI art, I've been able to leverage that to make what I hope are interesting episode slides, basically. Sometimes if it's a project, I'll just use their icon or whatever. Sometimes I'll throw that icon into AI art. So if you looked at the episode we did for SDR++ Brown, they don't really have an icon. But I took one for the regular SDR++ project, threw a prompt into AI art generator, and it came up with what the cover art is for that episode, which is SDR++, and it's brown. So the one The other ones, like the short topics, I try and make the cover art meet the title of the episode, because those have random titles. If anybody is actually interested in this, the title of every short topic episode is a reference to something else. I think some people might sort of have figured that out and get it, and others may not. So that's a whole different discussion. But the titles of the short topic episodes are not random. Let's just say that. The deep dives, of course, are just deep dives. And they have, a cover art based on whatever the topic is, of course. And then the weekenders, I come up with a new prompt every time we do a weekender that is hopefully some new kind of hedonism. Like, basically, it's like, how many ways do human beings party? And then I come up with a prompt, and then so usually there'll be something, if you've ever gone through them, there'll be all kinds of things. There's been like parties on the beach. There's been 1920s balls, aliens drinking whiskey, whatever. So it's I don't know. I try and come up with something different every time. This next one's going to be kind of fun because it's a river float, which is something that people do a lot around here. And I like what it generated, and it also generated it well enough that there's no like weird like limbs in odd places and people with 7 fingers and stuff like that. So all in all, it's a pretty good cover slide. So that will be for this episode when it comes out. So once I have the AI art, I've got scripts that will insert it into the files. And then once that happens, the Patreon gets the episode first, usually. I'll post it there. It's usually a day before the other one. And then after that, I post the show notes, which come directly from the Etherpad that we use for our notes to do the recording. And then I post the episode onto the server that hosts it. And of course, you get that by clicking on the links or your RSS feed or whatever that goes into your pod reader that comes from there. And then I manually post all the episodes to all the other places that we post it, like Facebook and Instagram, Mastodon, Blue Sky, and Twitter. And the only one that I don't do is YouTube. Bill handles that, I guess, when he gets around to it. So
yeah, I'm a little slow at times, but that's nice now that it actually picks up the podcast from the feed, so I no longer have to actually upload the feed. So I just basically changed the thumbnail to be like a widescreen thumbnail with the episode number in it, and then I flip it to public. So right now there's currently our last episode is sitting in private. I'm just looking at that now. So I was like, oh yeah, should probably edit that.
So nowadays it takes me about 30 minutes to take the episode once it's been recorded, download it from Alistair, or the project's actually called Craig. Once I download it from there, it takes me about 30 minutes to do the post-processing, and I've got scripts that push it to where it needs to be. There's another manual process that goes on where I'm pushing it to a place where up until recently you could hear the show on Ham Shack Hotline, but now Ham Shack Hotline is going away. It'll be gone sometime at the end of August, I think. So I have moved to put the show on Hams Over IP. So if you want to dial into Hams Over IP on their audio feed extension, whichever one they give me, whenever they give it to me, you can listen to the show that way as well. Once upon a time, we streamed it too via Icecast, and that is technically still true. So you can listen to it directly through Icecast. It's the same feed that powers the Hams Over IP and Ham Shack Hotline. So that's yet another way that it exists. And beyond that, other than like coming up with the topics and fleshing out the Etherpad and then actually sitting here talking into microphones, I think that covers just about everything, unless I forgot something. If there's any questions, please, feel free, because I may have glossed over something that would have been more interesting if I actually talked about it. But
Well, there's all the hours and hours we put in preparing for each and every show.
Sure, I'll leave that in. Some shows do actually require quite a bit of prep work. Some like this one require no prep work. But
Cheryl probably has the most prep work on the show. She has to put a recipe and a drink together. So this is her most burdened show.
Oh yeah, and I also have to tonight figure out exactly how I make the recipe, because this is just something I kind of did off the cuff. So
nice.
Yeah. So from back in the day when the show used to be upwards of 3 hours long, and it would take me damn near a week to edit it, to now our shows run 30 to 45 minutes, give or take, and it takes me less than the show time basically to post produce and publish. So quite a bit of streamlining in the process. I'll sit here and wait till I'll pre-use the truncate silence plugin while we wait to see if there are any questions before we get into the hedonism for tonight. 30 minutes is perfect, and I'm always left wanting more. I'm going to dig around the net to do additional research. Well, that's good. Yeah, I think we asked about it a few times in the past, like what do people think is an appropriate time for a podcast? And I think we kind of settled on, from feedback and sort of just doing this over the many years that we've done it, settling on 30 minutes as an appropriate time frame. I think much more than that, people start to get disinterested. Now, I understand that a lot of people listen to podcasts at faster than normal speed. I do that for sure. Sometimes 1.5 and sometimes 2x, depending on what the content is. If it's one of those ones that comes out of the UK or Ireland where they have really, really thick accents and stuff like that, I have to go to 1.5, because otherwise I'm just listening to stuff I can't understand anyway. But if it's American speakers, usually 2x, so that cuts the listening time down to, 15-ish minutes, which, maybe a little short, I suppose. But honestly, I personally get bored with podcasts that last much more than 45 minutes or an hour. So I'll make a special exception for a couple of them, but I don't listen to them all that often. Like Live Free and Ham is kind of fun, but they go for 2 hours usually at a whack, sometimes more. And quite frankly, I tune out well before that time is up. So, I just like stuff that sits around 30, 35 minutes. I think that's easily digestible. And I like that format. So,
yeah, even like our long form ones, like the deep dives, generally still stay right at about an hour to 45 minutes to an hour. So, we're definitely pretty consistent. I was just kind of zooming through all of the tracks in YouTube here, because I just posted the last episode on YouTube, which was 24 minutes, by the way, because we're so efficient.
That's the word. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a short topic show. Apparently, a very short topic show. But I do notice like a few of the weekenders have creeped up just over an hour, which is kind of funny, because sometimes we do get on a bit of a ramble when we're when we're on some of these random topics, because once in a while they kind of have multiple layers of engagement, and it might trigger another topic sort of within the context of the topic that drives us to go a little bit longer. I mean, we originally thought of this idea as only like it's a 15 to 20 minute spiel on a random topic, but occasionally we go long.
Like today. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. We're just adding fluff, right? Just because it's fun.
Well, I think that goes through the meat of all of the production, how the show actually comes to be. I mean, it's really a simplified process anymore. It's literally we just talk into microphones while Alistair listens to us, puts the tracks together, sends me an Audacity project. I do some minimal post-production, run my scripts, and that's that. I mean, the whole thing takes about an hour per week. So I'm down with the efficiency, quite frankly. So I'll sit here and wait for another few seconds, see if there are any other questions or comments, and If there aren't, then we shall move into food in the hedonism bracket of the show. Steve says he would welcome longer episodes, but maybe in the minority. I think, see, we don't have a cap on episode length. The episodes are as long as they are. And I think we have fine-tuned our process to the point where typical episodes run about 30 minutes, and then deep dive episodes run from 30 to maybe a hair over an hour. And I literally think it's just that the topics fit the time they take, and we don't have like hard caps on how long an episode could be or anything like that. So every once in a while, you're going to get an episode that's an hour or a little more or something like that. But I think it's just literally it is what it is. We could certainly make them longer, but we'd just be padding. So
it's not like we get any more money if it's longer. We're not getting paid by the minute.
You're not getting paid by the anything. So
yeah, exactly. My check gets another 0 added to it. It's so great.
Well, I mean, the show does get, support, financial support, but all of that goes back into the production and, Hamvention and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, we're not pocketing anything from that. It's just enough to keep the wheels rolling. So I guess that's something, we could talk about someday, is that, it actually, podcasting actually costs money because, there's hosting, there's data transfer, there's equipment, there's, it's not, and like we pay for the recorder and stuff like that. So there's all these little things here and there that cost money. Yeah. So the support actually is much appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, yeah, who knows, right?
Right.
Yeah. This is episode 2. Thank you guys. See you later.
Well, obviously we had to eat a bit at the beginning, until things get rolling. That's the way it is. You have to have that CapEx at the beginning, and you have to eat it, and then you wait for things to get some traction. And it only took us 17 years, so yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do appreciate all your listeners, and of course we'll mention that again at the end. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about some food. Let's bring Cheryl in here, and she can tell us about what she's got cooked up and what you can cook up maybe this week if you want to try something interesting. And then she'll hit us with a cocktail recipe, which we always look forward to that. So what do you got tonight?
Well, this recipe is a no-cook recipe because currently in Missouri, it is 100 degrees, and it's miserable. So the recipe I picked this week is the pecan goat cheese salad with a blackberry vinaigrette. And we actually tried this a few months ago in Tupelo, Mississippi at a restaurant called The Grill. We were headed home from Disney World, and I was diagnosed last year with celiac disease, so I have to avoid gluten. This restaurant had a great gluten-free menu, including a dessert that was amazing. And this was one of the choices on the menu, and it was amazing, especially because there was a great thunderstorm going on while we were there eating. And it's a no-cook recipe or very little cooking, depending, if you've got some leftover grilled shrimp or some leftover steak, or if you want to grab a rotisserie chicken from the grocery store, no cooking. So what you need for this is a salad base, either baby spinach or a spring salad mix, protein of your choice, rotisserie chicken, grilled shrimp, scallops, grilled steak, whatever you want. Your dressing, which I have the ingredients or the recipe for as well. Candied pecans that have been crumbled a little bit, some goat cheese crumbles, some sliced strawberries, and some real bacon bits. If you want to add the bacon bits, that's an optional thing. No. So for your dressing, you need blackberries, balsamic vinegar, olive oil, Dijon mustard, lemon juice, sugar, and a little bit of salt and pepper. And you throw all your dressing ingredients in a food processor or blender, blend that up, and then layer all your salad ingredients in a bowl, toss some salad dressing on it, and you're all set.
I'd say amp it up with a little bit of lardons instead of bacon bits.
Well, yeah, okay. You could do lardons if you want to go that route, but
Make it a
Be
big boy
picky.
salad.
Yeah, well, so
Don't want it to be healthy, Come on.
Well, no, let's not even try the whole healthy thing. So that's a salad. It's a wonderful salad. And again, you can tweak it to whatever you want to do with it. Don't like strawberries? Leave them off. Don't want meat? Leave it off. Yeah. So I actually ordered the salad with chicken, so it was really good. And for the drink corner tonight, I picked the Rum Runner, which is a tasty cocktail that will take you on a tropical taste vacation. And it has light rum, dark rum, banana liqueur, and blackberry liqueur or blackberry brandy, whichever one you want to use, pineapple juice, grenadine, and fresh fruit to garnish. So, and there's a few variations. Of course, the ingredients and the recipe will be in the show notes. There's a few variations on it. One to make it frozen, one to use orange juice in it, and another one called the Classically Styled, which uses egg in it. And of course, using raw eggs, you gotta take a little risk there. So, but all the instructions will be in the show notes. So.
All right, very good. It is a very good salad. We've been experimenting with salads off and on lately, and they're all very good. The Cobb salad from the other day is or wedge salad, not Cobb salad. The wedge salad from the other day is stupid good. So
I love my wedge salad.
Yeah. Russ apparently really, really likes my homemade blue cheese dressing. So
yep.
Yeah, he was like, "Ooh, wedge salad."
That makes any really salad good.
Well, yeah, I probably make about a half of our salad dressing.
Oh, that's cool.
I will make homemade, French dressing and Thousand Island stuff, or sometimes I'm just lazy and grab a bottle at the grocery store. But Caesar dressing and blue cheese dressing is definitely homemade. So
nice.
Yeah, Caesar is to die for too. So.
Yeah, it's always good when you have a nice yellow Caesar dressing because it was made right.
Right.
Yes. Well, we keep anchovy paste and anchovies handy, so.
Yeah, him and his anchovies. Bill and his anchovies. People are weird.
That one's with the egg yolks too, so
yeah,
it gives it. Yeah, it's very good.
So damn good.
Yeah, it's indulgent for sure if it's done right.
All right, so I'll quickly run through my drink corner for tonight. I have selected one of the bottles that's on my shelf that had not yet been opened, so I know I haven't reviewed it. It's the Whistle Pig Piggyback Bourbon Whiskey, which has been showing up on shelves at places like Costco lately for about $40, so it's becoming very prolific. I have steered myself for many years away from Whistle Pig products because I found them too damn expensive.
Overhyped.
Yeah, exactly.
Although they're good, it's just a bit much.
Exactly. So to be quite honest, this is the very first Whistle Pig thing I've ever tried. I literally went on other people's commentaries about Whistle Pig, particularly their rye products, because that's kind of what they're known for, as just being much overhyped, as Bill says, and much overpriced, because they had a 10-year rye that they were selling, and it was generally close to $100 a bottle. And
I bought one. I begrudgingly drank the whole thing.
Well, we all know there was no way you weren't going to drink it. It's just,
just didn't feel good about it. Felt a little dirty inside.
So with that said, their description I pulled right off their website says Piggyback 100 proof bourbon. It's interesting that it's bottled at 100 proof, but nothing on this bottle that I can see says bottled in bonds. So, and then I saw something else that said that it's a mixture of bourbon, of whiskeys. Some that came from the distillery itself, and Indiana was mentioned, so that means it's probably partially MGP. So with that said, that automatically knocks a few dollars off the price. So, but again, I did pick this up at Costco, and I think it may have been even less than $40. It may have been around $35, and that's the only reason I bought it in the first place. But to get on with it. 100 proof bourbon gives our bold approach to whiskey a sweeter spin. Born from our signature grain's other half, it starts with a high corn mash bill, keeping a dash of rye, of course. 6 long years of age in char number 3 barrels adds layers of flavor before bottling at 100 proof, so you can keep it 100 whether you choose bourbon or rye. Sip it neat or shake it in a classic. With its sweeter profile, piggyback 100 proof bourbon shines in citrus and sour drinks like our barrel-aged maple bourbon sour. Okay, whatever. If you're wondering why maple keeps showing up in the description and talk about Whistle Pig, it's because Whistle Pig is in Vermont, Keachie, Vermont, a place known for things like maple syrup. The mash bill on this is, of course, unknown. It's a high corn with a dash of rye. So, because, they're known for rye, so they couldn't just do straight corn. And we all know that straight corn whiskey is just moonshine anyway. So, you can barrel age it though, but obviously you never hear, we talk about, I talk a lot about whiskeys on this thing, and the term low rye is almost never mentioned anywhere ever. People, when it's a low rye, they just say rye. And when there's a lot of rye, they say high rye. But the term low rye just doesn't really exist. So this is probably like 5%. It's probably a 95.5 or something like that. But that's guessing. Proof on it, of course, already mentioned, 100 proof, 50% ABV. It's kind of got a lightish color. It's only number 3 barrels and for 6 years, so it doesn't have a super dark color. I called it a toasted honey. It's not really into the amber. It's kind of on the lighter side. The nose on it is actually pretty nice. It's caramel, cinnamon, yeasty bread, and sugary white grapes. It's much sweeter than I thought it would be on the nose, quite honestly, which is fine. I'm okay with sweet whiskeys. The taste on it is actually pretty good. It has quite a different mix of things, and it has a nice flavor profile. I got notes of cinnamon, apple, maple, toasted orange, vanilla, mint, and green tea. And those all sort of settled out on the palate quite well. I didn't have any issues with it at all. And then on the finish, you get candied sweet apple, baking spice, and some hints of caramel as it sort of dries out. It's not super dry on the finish either. I always get a drying effect on the tail end when I drink whiskey. This one is limited in that regard. It definitely tends towards the sweeter. And I don't mind the sweetness at all, really. And for the price on this, the $35 to $40 or whatever I, paid for it at Costco, I would definitely pour this and sip it and have no issues with it. And it would probably make a decent old fashioned as well. So I have no issues with this particular offering. And if they ever come down on prices on some of their rye products, I'll probably buy some of those. But I'm going to give this a solid 90.
Oh.
So not bad at all.
Especially you can get it at Costco, right? Yeah. Our Costco doesn't sell liquor. Boo.
Oh, in Missouri, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Everybody sells liquor. So,
yes.
But yeah, for a $35 to $40 bottle of bourbon, that's like really sippable, really approachable, and, a 90 out of 100. I mean, way better than a poke in the eye. So, all right.
Absolutely.
So what do you got, Bill?
My pick is is sort of one of those unobtainiums because it is a special pull, and it's one that I did share with Russ at Hamvention. That's the Whiskey Thief Distilling Company's Mayday Rye. We may have offhandedly mentioned it, but I just wanted to go ahead and make sure we added it here at some point in time in a hedonism episode. And this is a Kentucky Straight Rye whiskey. It was pulled in 2025. I don't think there's even an age statement on this. No, there's not. It is 146 proof. That's 73% ABV. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I wouldn't recommend drinking a lot of this. Preferably, you should probably add some ice or something like that. Just because of being so high, it's basically like drinking, hand sanitizer. But surprisingly, it doesn't taste anything like that. It actually tastes amazing. And this evening, I did have a little bit of 1792 full proof ahead of this, so I could taste this without dying. and I'm going to taste it right now. Oh man, it's so good. Yeah. Wow. That's so good. Yeah. That's way better than a Rossville Union. Unfortunately. But it's unobtainium. Just to give you context, 1792 full proof is 125 proof. And I think that's a pretty high proof for any whiskey. To see something at 146 is pretty psychotic, if you ask me. But this one handles it quite well with grace. It doesn't taste very like alcohol burny, which is like very surprising. It is a little harsh on the nose if you stick your nose right into the glass, but if you waft it, it does smell very good. They didn't have very many bottles left at the distillery when I was there in May. I doubt there's any left, but man, if you can get a sip or hands on this, it is quite excellent. I mean, what did you think when you had it, Russ? I mean, I thought you had a pretty good opinion of it too, and I don't know if you can remember that far back.
I honestly don't know that I can, because I mean, I remember everything we tried was excellent.
Yeah. It's hard.
That wasn't the one that had the Scotch flavor to it, right? That was something else. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember. Yeah, there was nothing in that, even at 100. I have a couple of Stag Juniors that are in the low 130s.
Yeah.
But that is by far the highest proof stuff that I own. So to see this at, 73% alcohol, I mean, you're pushing, Everclear at this point. And it was actually fantastic. Was that the one that I took outside, or did I grab something else? I don't remember. I felt like
we took that the other one, the smoky one, outside.
Yeah, that's right. I think we kind of wanted to preserve what you had in this because it was outstanding. So,
yeah, I'll have this for quite a while. I don't think this is not like a daily drinker for sure. It's like a nice little, like I just had just a touch, just enough for a nice little sip, and that's probably more than enough. I don't want to kill all the bacteria in my body in one fell swoop.
Yeah, you need some. So.
Yeah. I'd like to be able to digest food tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. But that does speak to Whiskey Thief itself. So if you're ever in Kentucky and you get a chance to go to the Whiskey Thief distillery, you may not be able to get this very batch. Very likely you will not. However, they will probably have something just as good. So, take yourself there and get something to try. And I think
they don't distribute, so it's like trying to find their stuff. You have to literally go there to get it.
So there you go. All right, very good. So that brings us down to the end of the hedonism. We do have a couple of pieces of feedback. They both came from YouTube's, and they were both in responses to Bill's video on the Commodore OS Vision video. This has actually probably generated more commentary on that one video than any other one that's been done so far. The first one, easy enough to handle here, is from Kevin Hanley 6462. He says, "It's fun to use." Well, there you go. I think Bill thought it was fun to use too, and also kind of annoying. So,
yeah, definitely.
Just have to take the good with the bad, I suppose. So this one, Bill, may be directed to you in the form of a question. So here we go. I'm very serious. Oh, this comes from Jason Cherry 3404, by the way. He says, "I'm very seriously considering purchasing a new Commodore 64, like the real thing, from the UK to use as a programming or gaming platform for retro-style games. Do I have to put the system on the internet, or can I keep it static for just at-home use and just download updates to a jump drive and load them that way? I'd like to keep the system as clean as I can, so I expose it to the internet. The less that I expose it to the internet, the better. However, if I do put the system on the internet for ease of downloading programs, are there sites specific to the Commodore that have saved content and games for downloading? What antivirus do you recommend? And is there anything that comes with the Commodore OS already? The video was very informative. Thank you." So,
well, I was just looking into our YouTube channel because, I was posting our last episode there. And yeah, I did notice that we've already topped like 2,000 views on this video and over 106 hours of it watched for a 9-minute video. And I will say that the Commodore 64 that you can buy is not going to run Commodore OS 3.0 like that I showed. The Commodore that you can buy is actually based on an AMD RTX 7 FPGA. So it's meant to be more compatible with original Commodore stuff. So this particular device, the Commodore 64 Ultimate, I believe is what it's called, which is selling for approximately $299, I think in pre-order right now, is a little different because it is sort of a retro gaming computer that is locked into retro gaming. It is not something that is going to be emulating. It literally is a device that is meant to run original code and games, including cartridges and everything else. And they're saying, I'm just checking out the website right now, that the new Commodore 64 Ultimate will be compatible with 10,000 plus original retro games, cartridges, and peripherals, more RAM and 48 megahertz turbo boost. So, I mean, that already tells you that it's not, you're not running your PC for this. I do see that there is Wi-Fi game transfer and USB cassette bursting for the classic and new games. So you will be able to connect it to the internet. I'm assuming that the threat vector and attack vector of a system running an FPGA is probably going to be infinitesimally low. So you probably won't have to worry about some kind of virus protection, but you may want to keep this thing behind your home firewall. But beyond that, it's a little different. The Commodore OS is sort of all about the emulation side of things. It's not about the actual Commodore 64 Ultimate, which you will ultimately be able to buy. Two different things. The video is not representative of the new Commodore 64 Ultimate that you can buy.
All right, very good. Well, hopefully that answers all of the questions. And thanks again for the feedback. And then for announcements, all we have is the usual stuff. Help support the show if you can, over on Patreon, PayPal, buying merch, submitting topics, and of course, checking out the YouTube channel where there is obviously some stuff to see. And before we get on out of here and end episode number 587, we'll bring Cheryl back in so she can read through this relatively small list of new subscriber supporters and live participants.
Okay, so this time for subscribers and patrons, we didn't have anyone. We didn't have anyone for free Patreons, no one for Twitter, no one for Instagram, but Mastodon. We have at DL9ET, at K2ZA_John, at MST Admin, at Irrational Method, and at NM8A. On Blue Sky, we have at PI4ZWN, at Briefer, and at Polly. No one for the mailing list. On Discord, we have one senior _Alex_A, Andre into JDH, N4FOX, GG, my megahertz, N5ATM, HS0ZPQ, Levi404, Reptile, and DK1MI. No one on YouTube. And in our live chat tonight, we have Tom, N4HAI, Mike, K6GTE, Darren, VK6EK, Steve, KJ5T, Diddy Dum Dum Diddy, CX, Fred, KIF, KY, wow, KIF5, FQQ, and Yamandum.
All right. Well, that does bring us down to the end of the show. Hopefully this was interesting and exciting in all the right ways. And we're glad you tuned into our 131st edition of The Weekender here at Linux in the Ham Shack. And we hope you'll have a great week and tune into the deep dive that comes around the next time we publish in a week's time. And with that, we'll let you get back to whatever it was you were doing, and we'll wrap up episode number 587 of Linux in the Ham Shack. And we'll talk to you all soon. I'm Russ, K5TUX.
I'm Cheryl, W5MOO.
And I'm Bill, NE4RD73.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Linux in the Ham Shack. LHS is a community-sponsored podcast. Live recordings are Sunday nights at 8 o'clock Central Time. Our homepage can be found at lhspodcast.info. You can support the podcast via Patreon at patreon.com/LHS podcast. We're also on Discord, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Mastodon. Contact us via email at info@lhspodcast.info or via voicemail at 190954777469. That's 1909 LHS show. We also have merch. So until next we meet, remember to always heed your hedonism.